Hey there, restaurant pros. It's David Scott Peters, and welcome to the Restaurant Prosperity Formula podcast. For over 2 decades, I've been guiding restaurant owners to success with the proven principles of something I call the Restaurant Prosperity Formula. I originally created the formula based on the daily practices of the most successful restaurateurs I coached, and it's now the foundation of what I teach restaurant owners like you so you can achieve success. What do I mean by success? Success is a restaurant owner who dictates the terms of their life and their bank account instead of their restaurant dictating those things for them. Success is a restaurant owner who has the freedom from the restaurant and the financial freedom they never thought possible. How you define success is up to you, but I do know the way to achieving it is using the Restaurant Prosperity Formula. This season, I'm diving even deeper into the core elements of the formula: leadership, systems, training, accountability, and taking action. Along with my insights, you'll hear from special guests, industry experts, and inspiring success stories from fellow restaurant owners who've turned their businesses around and found their definition of success. In this episode, number 118, our guest is Josh Kopel. Josh is a restaurateur and a tech pioneer. Throughout his 20-year career, he's managed venues ranging from casual dining concepts to Hollywood nightclubs, bars, and ultra lounges. He also opened his own Michelin-rated fine dining concept. Josh is a real restaurant pro. Listen in on our conversation where Josh shares his awareness formula. This formula teaches restaurant owners how to dominate social media and build awareness that keeps your restaurants and tables full. Let's get started. But first, a word from our sponsor. We all know managing costs is one of the most important parts of running a profitable restaurant, especially now. But between fluctuating vendor prices, waste, labor, and the never-ending list of tasks that demand your attention on a daily basis, it can be challenging for even the most experienced of us to manage costs well. That's where Margin Edge comes in. Margin Edge is a complete restaurant management software that automatically uses data from your POS and invoices to show you food and labor costs in real time. Don't wait until it's too late. Margin Edge gives you tools to make decisions in the moment, like a daily P&L, price alerts on key ingredients, and real-time plate costs, all without ever having to touch a spreadsheet. Take control of your costs, work more efficiently, and be more profitable. Go to www.marginedge.com/DSP to learn more and schedule your demo today. Josh, I want to thank you so much for joining me today.
Dave, it's my pleasure. So glad to be here.
Well, I hope so, because, we have done a couple things together. You've come to my Mastery Plus meeting. We've done a podcast in the past. On my podcast, I've been on your podcast. I want to gush about you just a little bit. For those
Take your time. I'm a glutton.
I hear you. Me too. For people who've not listened to our past podcast, which was really transformative for people, you are not only a restaurateur, somebody who has been in the business, been there, done that, from, casual concepts to bars to Michelin star rated restaurants. The reality is you've taken all that knowledge and you've become one of the foremost marketing experts out there, as well as a host of an incredible podcast, Full Comp. Can you talk a little bit about that side of things? We get that you're a restaurant guy, but talk about your marketing prowess, if you will, and your podcast.
I think it's all like inextricably intertwined. I think that all of my success as a restaurateur stemmed from my understanding of how to market to people, how to create stories worth sharing, and how to translate ideas in a way that were really accessible. Also, I think that my superpower is that I'm incredibly ordinary. As it turns out, like what I like, everybody likes. So when I started the podcast, what I saw that the landscape was mainly editorial, right? That it was narrative based. We're all swimming in the same toilet. It's just hard for everyone. It was very much a cathartic exercise. And all I was interested in was actionable information.
Right.
Like, could I listen to this and tease out what I need to do in order to make my life or my business better? And no one was just spoon feeding it. So that's what I wanted to do. And then being a marketer and using the same things that made me successful as a restaurateur, I was able to build audience. I was able to get people to enroll in my ideas and my belief systems by sharing it in a way that was super accessible to them. And then off that show, I built a tribe, and that tribe ultimately became, the community and the coaching practice that I have today.
Well, I know the coaching's phenomenal. I've got a handful of my high-end members. I've got other members that are interested in you, but they've been working with you for years. And I can remember sitting before one of my Mastery Plus meetings with Steve Eller, who's now on my team as Director of Operations. And he's like, have you seen this guy's stuff? And he's laying out all this homework you gave him. And he's like, it was like parting the sea for him in marketing. And then we've got Deja in there and several others. And, Ryan's been in the group. And like, you have really transformed people's lives when it comes to marketing. Because what I like to tell people is we've got the done for yous. Like, there's only two people I put my name on anymore. That's you and Matt Plapp. Matt Plapp's a done for you service. You're learn it, understand it, know what you need to do, put all your ducks in order to make it successful, and then either do it your damn self, or if you're going to spend the money on somebody else to doing it, you know exactly what you're going to spend money on and what your expectation should be. Is that a reasonable description?
It is. I just think, and I think we're both friends with Matt, like in real life too.
Yep.
I think what Matt does is great. I don't think it's great to hire a guy like Matt without understanding marketing.
Yeah.
I think that so often, and we do it with our own teams, that we laden responsibility on people to achieve outcomes that we couldn't achieve on our own because we don't really understand what it is. What I try and do in all of the free content that I put out, plus the 5-day challenge, plus my coaching clients, is explain like this is what marketing is. And what we teach are lessons that are going to serve you the rest of your life. When you learn marketing, you learn how to share yourself with other people in a way that they will accept you. And so whether you choose to outsource it at some point or not, at the very least, you should have a firm grasp on what you're outsourcing and what good looks like. And that's the goal.
Well, let's jump right on into it there. I mean, one of the things that people often ask me, and I'm not the marketing guy, so I don't give a lot of advice on marketing at all. And I see it in my group coaching calls all the time. It's, what are you doing on social media? How are you using social media? It's a jungle out there with all these posts, and so many of them they don't hit the algorithm. They get hidden unless you're paying for ads or doing things like that. But there is literally a formula on using social media properly. Can you talk a little bit about, why do I need to be on social media? What does it really mean?
That's a great question. So do you need to be on social media? I don't know if you need to be on it, but you need to have a presence there. So it's awareness is really the issue here. I think if we were to start with the foundational belief, it's that I believe that everyone that is struggling with revenue either has a product market fit issue or they have an awareness issue. So either everybody knows and nobody cares, or nobody knows, but if they knew, they would care. And so if we presuppose for the audience that they have an awareness issue and not a product market fit issue, then the question is, well, how do you let the people that would know care? Not everyone. And I think by and large, people are using social media in the wrong way. They're using it to sell instead of to share, which everyone tells you. But let me explain why it's a mistake. It's a mistake because social media for us as restaurant owners is an inherently low intent platform. When Mr. David Scott Peters goes to take Mrs. David Scott Peters out to dinner, he doesn't turn to his wife and say, all right, where do you want to go eat? Let me hop on Instagram and find a place.
Right.
That's not what we use the tool for. And so understanding that it's low intent and no one's going to stop what they're doing to come to your restaurant because they saw a piece of pie online. We just need to tell different stories, not even better stories. Right now, it's a commodity-driven business. Everybody's publishing food and beverage and saying, eat this and drink this. But people don't attach to products. They're not motivated by products. They're motivated by feelings, and they need to feel something for you. They need to root for you.
So how do I go about getting awareness? I mean, I think about the restaurants. I've lived in this house 15 years maybe. And there are a handful of restaurants I still haven't gone to. Like I drive by them all the time.
Oh my God, yes.
Haven't walked in.
So it doesn't start with how do I let people that don't know find out about my restaurant? The question is, who are the best patrons you have? And where do you find more people like them? Seth Godin, who I know we both love, he has this great phrase he uses. It's an ideology wrapped around a simple sentence. People like us do these things. People like us do these things. So for the regular that sits at your bar 4 nights a week, where are they when they're not with you? Because they hang out with people exactly like them that would like what they like. Why do we know each other in real life, David? We do the same thing for a living. We have common interest, right? And so if people like us do these things, the question isn't how do I let more people know? It's how do I get closer to my best customers and help them, give them the tools to get me closer to people just like them. So where are they? Are they in AA meetings? Are they on the PTA? Are they part of a local softball league? Like, where are they when they're not with you? Because that's going to solve your awareness problem.
So it really isn't me as a restaurant trying to find the person like me who's never been in. It is really taking your network and getting them to, dare I say, want to know you better, want to be a part of your organization, want to go, that's my place, and tell others about it? I mean, am I overstating that, or is it that simple?
I think it is. And I think that people are going to be motivated by one of 3 things. Either their love of you, the love of the cuisine, or the love of the community and your relationship with the community. Can I tell you a story?
Please.
I think a story would be effective.
Please do.
So let's assume everybody listening is on social media, for better or worse, in some capacity. But we're gonna end this conversation. Everyone's gonna say, "Well, I still don't know what to say. I don't know what to say on social media." So here's a story that'll help you figure out what to say.
Okay.
In the early days of soap operas, the first soap operas were they were commissioned for and paid by Procter and Gamble to sell soap to housewives. But they came up really early on in the process with a huge issue, which was like there's a climax to every story. So what they found is that midway through the episode, as soon as they hit the climax, housewives would stop watching. So what they did was they started telling more than one story at a time. And when you look at a modern day drama today, like whatever cop show it is that you watch on Thursday nights, what you see is they're not telling one story. They're telling 3 stories simultaneously. And when you do that, you're able to hold someone's attention for much longer. So on social media, it's not about what should I say, it's what things should I be talking about. And so you architect over the course of a quarter, over the course of the year, you as a restaurateur going from unknown to known. We talk about, so here's why I decided to open it here. Here's why I chose the cuisine. Here's the process that I went by to find the real estate. Here's what I did before I opened the restaurant. Here are my aspirations outside of the restaurant. And that on its own is boring. So we only talk about that once a week. And then once a week, we talk about the effort that goes into creating an effortless experience. Think about like featuring a local source, a local vendor that you have, or the process that we use to create our best cocktail on the menu, or a cooking demo, or look, here's behind the scenes of an event that we're hosting. Because people get into that stuff. I mean, look at the Food Network. It's a whole thing revolving around that. And those 2 things are better than just one thing. But then the third thing is people, your community, right? Meet Tio. Tio shows up at 6:30 in the morning to clean the hoods and set us up for success every day. Meet Steve. He's the best patron we have, and here's where he works. Here's another local business owner that we support and you should support too. And when you're telling those stories every week without exception, and again, it's just about picking up the phone and having an honest, authentic conversation with people, you gain that traction.
Well, I talk to restaurant people all the time about the little bit I know of social media is 1, be consistent. 2, don't always it's like sell, buy. We've got it. It's happy hour. It's here's today's special. If it's always come at me buy, then I'm shutting down everything because you're just trying to sell me stuff. but it's to get to know you, the owner. It's to be able to go, hey, my kid just hit a home run in T-ball for the first time. It was so exciting. It's having the bartender mix that summer drink, that kitchen manager teach you how to grill. But I love the missing piece that is often so overlooked, and you brought it up, is kind of sharing your why you do things, why you opened your business, what your struggles might be, and how it associates you as a real person, not just a business. Because it's easy to hate a business. It's much harder to hate a person. It's much easier to like a person than it is a business. Does that make sense?
It does. I think that people support people. People don't support companies. And, I'll give you another hack that works really well so most people use social media to broadcast, right? This is a one-to-many thing. It is not a conversation. I get a ton of leads, a ton through social media. And the last time I posted was 2021. So how do I do it? So number one, my Instagram feed is set up in a way that everything you need to know about me is readily available. So that's one. And then number two, I engage. And I engage in what I would describe as one-to-one communication at scale. So you follow me on social media, and then you get a direct message. And I say, hey, how'd you find me? Thanks for the follow. And then you tell me, hey, this is where I found you. I'm like, oh, that's really cool. What are you looking for? Are you looking for tools, tips, whatever? And then once I figure out what your core needs are, I can better serve you. But my restaurant clients do it too. So we do this thing where every day we direct message 35 people a day. And we say, hey, just wanted to thank you for the follow. Have you been into the restaurant before? And then what are you doing this weekend? And then we give them a specific call to action to come in that does not involve discounting. Yo, here's the feature for this weekend. Be sure to check it out. Sales, more than anything, is about consistent execution. And the more offers you make, the more sales you close. So it takes about 35 minutes on average to send 35 direct messages that are templated. But over the course of the month, I made 1,000 offers. Right? 35 times 30 days. So I made 1,000 offers, and not to random people, but people that like me enough that they follow me on social media.
Right.
And so it's a warmer audience. It's a more engaged audience. They just got invited in by the owner of the restaurant. So what do you think the conversion rate is on that? Ballpark.
No idea. 25%?
About 20 to 30%. 25 is a safe average. So what would the people listening do to get 250 more clients in, plus their guest, right?
Right.
So 250 to 500 to 600 new covers per month in what takes 35 minutes a day. It's transformative. And it doesn't cost anything, because great marketing doesn't cost you a penny.
When you look at social media, I'm going to take you down a course, and I don't know if this is really something you want to talk about or not. But I can tell you, my wife and I are avid TikTok watchers. I mean, sure. I look at social media as, I look at Facebook as, I want to know what my friends are doing, and I actually go on there for ads. I literally know that if I search something, sure, I'm don't buy anything, because every Tom, Dick, and Harry is going to hit me with an ad, and I'm going to be able to get a little research done. That's what I use Facebook for. Instagram, I look for what's kind of hot popping, what's kind of exciting with people I follow or friends right now in the moment. But I look at TikTok, between puppy videos and cat videos, I love the restaurant reviews of people going around and seeing. And I can't tell you, between, there's probably 2/3 puppies and kittens that I share with my wife videos, but the others are, do we want to drive to Gilbert for the best cheesesteak?
Right.
Like that cheesesteak looks freaking good. Like, how is it that factors into this? Like, in this process of where you stay consistent, do you get those social media people to come in, the food reviewers, the everyday citizens that come in and go, man, this was freaking awesome, I want to tell everybody about it, whether on Instagram, TikTok, or whatever? Like, how does that happen?
So I'm a big fan of what you're talking about in its purest form, is influencer marketing. So here are the pros and the cons. The pros are that if you live in a major metropolitan area, you'll probably get a pop. But understand, you don't own that audience. Keith Lee owns that audience.
Yeah, he does.
And so you'll be able to get some of that, but not really. But I know every restaurant aspires for virality, but especially on TikTok, it's a global market. So you get 1 million views. How many of those people live in Racine, Wisconsin?
Right.
So you're not going to get a big pop for it. I believe in the other kind of influencer marketing, which is looking for the people that can get you direct access within your community to people that are exactly like you. Like that's an awareness engine. And what does that look like? That looks like apartment building managers, office managers, hotel concierge. Like those are the people that when you build those one-to-one relationships, they give you the keys to the city, and not by giving you access to that audience, but also to help influence outcome. So like what I don't do is I don't hit up an apartment building manager and say, "Hey, listen, we would love to host something for the apartment complex." We say, "Hey, we're doing something really special here. Why don't you come in with a guest, dine with us, and then we'll talk." And so they come in, they have a meal, and then after that, I don't give them any ideas. I solicit ideas. I say, "Hey, David, let me ask you something. You enjoyed yourself, right? You also know the people that reside in this apartment complex. What's worked in the past? What do you think they would be interested in doing? What do you think would be something really fun for him, and what would be a great time to host it?" They give me the insight, the contextual information that I need to more effectively market to their people. And when you do that at scale, when you're making those calls, one a day, that's what, 25 a month. Like what happens? The reason that I cannibalized one of the most competitive dining markets in the world is because everybody was driving traffic to me, not just me.
I'm sure somebody's listening to us right now going, as a restaurant owner, going, shit, I gotta eat, I gotta message 35 people. I gotta go out and solicit these people to come in, and whether apartment managers or concierges, or whatever, to come dine with me and then sit with them and get ideas. Man, I'm buried. And this is where, in my world, my goal for you is restaurant prosperity, which is freedom of your restaurant and financial freedom you deserve. And that freedom means I've got managers in place, I got systems in place, and that I've changed my role from being my best manager, doer, line employee that I have to working on budgets, marketing, leading the team, developing your managers, holding them accountable, working strategically on your business, moving the company forward. And that second piece right after budget is you, my friend. It's marketing. Like, there is nobody in the business who is going to love the place more and be a better ambassador than the person who owns the damn place. Can you talk a little bit about that? Because I know for a fact in your coaching group, you've got people who still battle the demons that I've been working on with my members. And I know for a fact, we've talked about it, you love when my members come in because you're like, they've got that shit. I can just focus on marketing. Where does that fall? And what are some of the recommendations you have for that person's like, I don't have freaking time?
So if we were to call out, and I know that you see the same thing in your group, so much of it is rooted in this unspoken fear that, like, if I'm not my restaurant's manager, then what does a restaurant owner do?
Right.
Like, what do I do every day? And so that fear keeps us in this role of restaurant manager. But I think that the evangelism is huge. I think that is your primary role. I think that restaurant owners flourish when they do the things that only restaurant owners can do. And so that being the case, like, what is marketing? What are we talking about here? Marketing is a few direct messages a day, a couple of text messages to follow up, a few emails, a few phone calls. Like, it really, like, marketing can be 5 minutes a day if you want it to be. But like, what you are going to see is you are going to see like the restaurant owners are becoming more dynamic. Like the young bloods out there get it, right? So they're on social media and they're in the DMs and they're making those asks and they're dynamically telling stories. And so what you're going to see is not that technology replaces the role of the restaurateur, but restaurateurs that don't use technology, that don't abide by these foundational marketing standards that exist in every other industry, they will be replaced by those that do.
So let's talk a little bit about message then, because I think that's extremely powerful. In the back of my brain, what was going, because I'm a Gen Xer, I'm older than you. You're a young bastard. Well, I don't know that you're a bastard, but you're a good guy. The fact of the matter is this: I I grew up in the time in the restaurant business where you did TV, you did radio, you did print advertising, you couponed your ass to death. You were in anywhere you could put your logo and your message, and it was expensive as hell. And the truth of the matter is, what you're talking about, you can dominate a marketplace by using your time instead of your cash. You know, like literally you put time in, you can actually see the rewards versus throw mud at the wall and go, I wonder if being in the American Airlines magazine drove any tourists into my restaurant. You have no freaking clue. And odds are it didn't. Talk a little bit about why it's so important to take that switch instead of wasting money in other places, to take it internally and start with the grassroots kind of social media thing that you can actually do yourself.
I'll tell you why, because there's no alternative. So, you know, the easiest place for people to start is with ads, right? Like Google ads, Meta ads. But, you know, every time I meet a client that is ad focused, I'm like, have you ever clicked on a restaurant's ad? Once. Like, name one time that you've ever like clicked on a restaurant's ad and then gone to that restaurant. And no one ever has. And yet we invest all of this money thinking that people behave differently than we do. And they don't. So let's just assume that advertising is out completely. Then we need to look at this like Naval Ravikant-esque, like, where is the leverage in my business? For the hours that you spend, how do you monetize that time? I had a client that I'm a big believer in outbound.
Okay.
So I love outbound marketing. I love outbound calls. I love outbound emails. I think the nature of our industry is that everybody's sitting around waiting for the phone to ring.
Yeah.
And we ring the phone. We email. We find people that are interested in what we do for a living, and we aggressively pursue them because we are doing them a favor because they already order catering. They're already going to host that holiday party. So we just meet that need and we serve them in that way because sales is service in my program. And so what we found is that these are the high leverage things that everybody is at home trying to figure out, like, how do we make more money? And it's simple. Like, what we do more than anything is we give people the levers. Gun to your head. How do you make more money? If you had to make more money today, what would you do? Because like I have a 4 email workflow for gift card sales that will bring in anywhere from $6,000 to $60,000. I know it, like I have the data. So when your back's up against the wall, what do? You should be able to send out 35 direct messages. You should understand that like your time is the most valuable thing you have. And when you focus on the right things, not through trial and error, what ends up happening is you make money off that time. And then you've perfected a skill that you can train someone else to do for pennies on the dollar.
Now, I'm going to say that we both agree on this. You better have Restaurant 101 down. Hot food hot, cold food cold, clean,
Sure.
safe work environment,
Absolutely.
guest employees, wow customer service, incredible product, and now to go. Like, if you spend all this time marketing and you suck, you are literally tearing your business apart by thousands when they post how bad you were, right? I don't want to lose sight of that. You've got to make sure your shit's together. Is that, you agree?
Right, you do. Yes, you do. But I think it's also important, and I'm sure you have this conversation with your clients as well. Like, what is the biggest hurdle in your business? Because like when I talk to chef owners, like they're like, well, I'm going to make a few tweaks to the menu. And it's like, that's not going to get it done. Like that's not the biggest problem you have. I've got a client, they will remain unnamed. They had a massive year last year. Did $4.5 million out of a single unit at like a 35% profit margin. And it's like their third year out the gate. They just caught fire through a variety of fortunate circumstances. And then they come into January and they start working with me because they're like, well, it looks like 2025 is going to be a down year. And it's because they didn't own the audience. They had a bunch of influencers come in. And so they're like, well, you know, we need more awareness. And here's the problem. They don't understand the biggest issue in their business. And their biggest issue is coming off $4.5 million in sales. Their biggest issue is that people aren't coming back. They had awareness, right? Everybody knew. And everybody went to the tune of $4.5 million in sales, right, with a per customer average of like $18. Think about how many humans they served. and people aren't coming back, which is a marketing problem too, right? And so the question is, like, what is the biggest problem in your business? Because to your point, I think everyone's comfortable with making the little tweaks that fall within their scope of expertise. But I would argue if you have a foundationally good business, right, where the hot food is hot, the cold food is cold, you're not spending all of your time apologizing. At some point, you've got to turn your attention to marketing, because everybody in all of their respective communities sees restaurants that aren't as good as theirs, that are flourishing. And the difference isn't that that restaurant serves a better steak than you. It's that they're better marketers than you.
Well, we all know that sales cure all ills. Let's say, for instance, your food costs running high, your labor costs running a little bit high. At some point in time, I can outpace my fixed costs. And even with variable, I can make money. I may run really hard. I may beat up my restaurant, but I can outpace it. So let's take that let's take that and put it on at the top. In essence, forget about me and operations and trying to become more profitable and reduce your labor cost and, do all these things. Because for all intents and purposes, with larger sales, you do reduce your labor costs. At some point in time, you can't add another cook. You can't add another server. You're maxed. And so you will see that go down. But I can outpace my mistakes at some level. Not real smart way to do business. However, let's say I think sales is like a typical restaurant owner. I think sales cures everything. What should I be doing when we talk about creating that awareness? When you say, tell the 3 stories at the same time, what's the first 1, 2, 3 things that I should do to start this process? Is it going live? Is it being on every social media platform possible, or just focusing on one where I think my guests are? What are 1, 2, 3 things I should be doing?
Let's create a little paranoia here, because I think it'll be useful.
Okay.
Right now we're talking about top of funnel, but if we really want to help people, let's go to the middle of the funnel.
Okay.
So let's assume that everybody that's listening, their website converts at the rate of an average restaurant website, which is 10%. What about the other 9 people? So out of every 10 people that come, 9 people say, not for me.
Right.
And that's if they make it to your website. They didn't go to Yelp or Google or TripAdvisor and go, not for me. And so I think if we wanted to make more money immediately, the first thing we would do is we would fix the conversion issues.
Okay.
So when I go to most restaurants' Google listing, right, it's not evocative. They're not telling the story in an effective way. They're talking about food and beverage when nobody's interested in food and beverage. They're interested in eating and drinking. So I think if we fix the copy to be rooted in something experiential, if we make sure that the photography is evocative, and again, not a photo of a sandwich, but a sandwich in a hand, because we don't sell food, we sell eating, right?
Right.
And so we make all of these small tweaks, we'll convert at a much higher level. I think the second thing we do is we focus on the people that are in the restaurant today. Scaling your per customer average spend is the best way to make more money today, in this moment. And so I would argue that we figure out what our best customers are eating today, right? So we look at check averages and we say, these people are consistently ordering more. What are they ordering that other people aren't? And then we work with our best servers, not the whole team, but our best servers to workshop what that looks like, right? What is that version of, would you like fries with that you could easily sell to everyone that makes it a better experience? And then the third thing that I would do, and I think it's equally as important, is I would drop into the DMs. There's nobody listening today that doesn't have at least 1,000 followers. That gives you a month's worth of fodder. So start reaching out to your followers and say, hey, thanks for the follow. What are you doing this weekend? And you just invite them back. But if you do those 3 things starting this week, you will make more money this week. And you can do all of them from the comfort of your own home.
That's pretty amazing. I think about the conversations I have with some of my members who are seasonal. I've got members who are in LA and while their business survived, the sales have damn near disappeared because it's devastating around there. People don't have jobs. People aren't living in the area. They're pulled back. There's just shock and awe with what's going on there. And no matter where, there's often this, I need sales today. And what little I know of marketing, I'm like, well, technically speaking, you need to be in my brain. And this is where I love having you. I've always learned that you need 2-3 months ahead of if you need that pop, but you're telling me I could dial for dollars right now. I could
right now.
If I take the time to actually DM my people, I could increase sales today.
That's the point. So my program, and you know me, so you know my background. So I didn't start out with the ambition of getting into coaching and consulting. I just started the show because I wanted to talk to people. And without the show, without the context of the show, you don't get interviews, you get restraining orders. So I needed the show. So I built the show. The show built a big audience. And then people started turning to me and they were like, hey, you sound like you're not an idiot. Could you teach me this thing? And what ended up coming out of that was I went to a coach of coaches to learn, like, how do you codify? Because it's not about just like what we do isn't sharing what we know. People don't pay us for what we know. They pay us for a result.
Yep.
So I was like hyper focused on making sure that like when people gave me money, that it wasn't an expense, it was an investment and that it paid out immediately.
Yeah.
And so we built the program around quick wins. You give me money on Monday and there's more money in your bank account by the following Monday. And so like when I share these things with you, it's because they were predicated upon understanding as a restaurant owner myself that like I don't have time. This can't be a thing where you work on it for 6 weeks and then things get better. I mean, let's get real. Like the attention span of a restaurateur, if it's anything like me and my friends, like you'd be lucky to get 6 days. You'd be lucky to get 6 hours out of me.
Right.
And so it's always better today and better tomorrow. All of the things that we work on will have an immediate impact in your business, but then we'll also have a long-term impact as well. I've got a client, Josh, in Rockford, Illinois. He listens to your show. He's a big fan. And one of the things that we worked on right out the bat was improving his check average. So we re-engineered his menu. And within a week, his check average was already up by like $1 and change, which like nobody's clutching their pearls over that. But you look over the course of a year.
Oh, yeah.
Dude, it was almost $150,000, like net, because it's all part of the same thing. It was transformative for his business. And so we're able to do that. And like, there's no associated costs with that. It's not like he had to implement a whole system to get it done. My clients are aspiring professional marketers, So like we iterate, we're only attached to outcome. Not everything works for every brand every time, but in the group, we are moving so quickly that like everybody attaches to something that works within the first 7 days, within the first 7 weeks, they're off to the races. We move so much faster because we adopt this iterative, like it's not like we're getting all these people involved and then we have a whole staff meeting. It's quick action and it results in quick results.
Well, let's stay on that real fast. You're a coach. I'm a coach. We have similarities in that we help restaurant owners really embark on change. My change is a cultural change. My change is getting a life. My change is having managers in place so that you can have freedom from the business. And that means you're making money. You are build a business. You are build awareness. You are give you a skill set that by all means, no matter where you are, you can increase your sales and deliver an incredible experience that is congruent with the message you're putting out there. Talk about what you do as a coach. Talk about a little bit about what your program's like.
Oh, thank you. Okay, so here's the deal. I only really focus on 3 things. I focus on profitability and in a very different way than you do. I believe that we have to be running the most profitable version of our business today from a marketing perspective. So it's about benchmarking, which I know you do, but like we work as a team to create more perceived value and to engineer the menu in a way that it looks more like a roadmap than it does a compass. And then we get into frequency, which is absolutely massive for us. Question that we ask everyone is, what happens to your business when everyone that comes in once a month comes in twice a month? I know everybody wants to focus on Tuesdays. Yeah. I know everybody wants more new customers, but let me tell you this. Like if that happens to your business, you are wealthy. You are wealthy beyond measure. And what's the point in bringing in new customers when you know you're not going to make money off them from $1 and that you have no way to get them back in after the fact? It's a wasted effort. So we spend a lot of time focused on frequency. The third step in the process is to diversify revenue streams. So for us, we believe in a transition from B2C to B2B. So when you look at my fine dining restaurant, 6,000 square feet, 2 stories, the day-to-day business that we did existed to promote my events business because that's where the margin was.
Right.
So, and what I found was the more events that we hosted on site, the more B2C business I got because 50, 100, 150 people would come in. They would love it and they would come back with their families. Catering was the same thing for my fast casual concepts, for my clients' fast casual concepts. We're looking at law firms, economics firms, accounting firms, people that are ordering catering with frequency and using other people's money to pay for it. And we set it up in a really programmatic way. And once we've done that, then we focus on awareness. But the other thing I learned from my coach, kind of as an aside, the coach of coaches that taught me how to coach, he said, if you want to win, you have to out-teach everyone else. So like, I know that I talk fast. I know that I've covered a lot of ground, but every single month I do a 5-day restaurant profitability challenge, which is through my lens, through the lens of marketing. And over the course of 5 days, 1 hour a day, I unpack every facet of the program for people at no cost. And at the end of it, some people take what they've learned and they go on their own. And some people that want to move faster have the opportunity to get enrolled into the program. But the reason that I do it and the reason that I'm on the show is to change people's minds, to brainwash people. The God willing, like they listen to this and they saw their lives and their businesses one way. And then at the end of it, they see their lives and their businesses differently. Because this is an industry, as you know, where it is so easy to feel like it's happening to you and not an extension of you. That you're not able to exert control over your business. And I mean, look, I was based in Los Angeles. Like, if it rained, if it drizzled, if it looked like it was going to rain, it impacted sales.
Yep.
You know, and so for years and years, for more than half a decade, I felt like I had no control over the business that I was running. And so today, through the challenge, through the program, through the podcast, it's really about just giving people the levers that they need, the tools and the strategies that we know work across hundreds of restaurants,
right,
to make money when they need to make the money.
Well, I know firsthand that it works because I have multiple members, like I said, in your program or have been in your program in the past. And that's how we first met. It was organically through, hey, this guy's awesome. You need to be talking to this guy. With that said, I want people to know that I don't bring you on the show if I don't put my name on you. I know for a fact in our relationship with the no money exchanges hands, no nothing. I know that if my people are operating better and they're making more money, and then they add you on top of that, whether congruently, I come in after the fact, before, does not matter. You put these things together and you are a master of your domain. Like, by God, you are a restaurant owner, not a mom and pop shop. You own a business. You run it like a business. You are proactively changing your future. And that's what I love about what you do and the results that I've seen people get with you. So much so that we've got some of your video content in our video library because I want to expose people to you. How would somebody go about contacting you if they want to learn about your 5-day challenge, want to learn about what you do in your program, or just dip their toe in the water and kind of spectate from a circle until they're ready?
Look, I think that the best way to engage is to listen to the Full Comp podcast and to go to joshkopel.com and sign up for next month's challenge. And both of those things won't cost you a penny.
Fantastic. We've covered a lot of stuff. Is there anything last minute you wish we had talked about? You want to share an idea, a book, a quote that's favorite of yours, something you want to leave people with?
I want to end with gratitude. I can't tell you. I mean, for those that don't know us in our dynamic, you are not a colleague, you are a mentor. And I knew nothing about this side of the business when I got into it. And you would think, and I think it's so representative of the industry at large, you would think that because some people would perceive us as competitors, that you would be less open with me. But you have always been so kind and so generous. And, the reason that I have you on the show is because you're a good human being that has the right intentions and you actually help people. And so it's a pleasure to spend this time with you. I'm grateful for the time. I'm grateful for the years of advice and mentorship that you've offered me over the years. And I'm excited to see how we grow in 2025.
Well, I think there's going to be more things we're going to do together. I'm pretty sure. I know Steve on my team sees it, so we got to make it happen.
Yes,
Josh,
sir.
I appreciate the kind words. I really appreciate you taking the time to be on here. I'm sure we'll have you back. Thank you so much. And I hope everybody listening at minimum goes to your website and signs up for the 5-day challenge. Thanks, Josh. Ready to take the next step towards achieving restaurant prosperity, freedom from the daily grind, and the financial success you deserve? Book a discovery call with Ryan James to learn about our group coaching program. Ryan will guide you through how our program can transform your restaurant and help you achieve the prosperity and freedom you've been striving for. Click the link in the description below or visit dsp.coach/talk-to-Ryan to schedule your call now.